Good morning, Reptilians. Welcome and welcome back to the channel. I'm Elle, and this is Elle's Reptiles. This week, we are doing a video all about just some really cool reptiles that I happened to cross, and we're just going to talk about some awesome reptiles. Most of these, so 4 out of 5 of these you can keep as a pet, which is super cool. One of them, probably not. But we're going to look into some super cool reptiles because reptiles are fun. Before we get started, this video is sponsored by Gecko, so make sure to stay until the end of the video to find out all about this awesome company. Let's get started. So the very first reptile on this list is actually the reason for this list. You might recognize this video from a previous video that we did.
Kind of what we ended up with. Then it was time to introduce the new Grenadines clawed geckos to their new environment, and I am so excited about this. Like I said, these guys are one of the rarest
Those
eyes in
eyes.
the world, and they were captive bred by a friend of mine who goes by.
Oh, those eyes are match its camouflage.
Yeah.
Them myself as well.
Those are really cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen those before. Those are amazing. This lizard is so awesome. Me and Din were super excited about this lizard because it looks so cool. This is the Grenadines clawed gecko, also known as the Union Island gecko. This tiny little gecko is super cool just because its eyes camouflage in with its spots, or its spots camouflage in with its eyes. I don't know, but it's camouflage. These guys look really cool, and we had never seen a lizard like this before going into that TikTok video, and we were really excited about it because it's so cool. So a whole video has blossomed because of that. These guys are actually critically endangered in the wild, and they are one of the world's most threatened lizard species just in general. So it would make sense if you'd never seen one of these. I had never seen one of these. Luckily, there are now breeding projects to try to get these guys' numbers up. Obviously, breeding projects in captivity don't do as much for the numbers in the wild, but it is something to try to keep those animals from going extinct. That TikTok video, he said that he had got that lizard from one of his friends who actually was breeding them. So there's a breeder right there. Make sure that if you do happen upon one of these that you double check that it is a captive bred animal before you get one, just because we don't want to contribute to their lessening numbers in the wild because there are only several thousands of these guys left in the wild. But apart from that, these guys are just super cute, tiny little geckos that like to climb, that don't need a lot of space, seem to thoroughly enjoy bioactive tanks. They're just cute, awesome little geckos. Next up, we have the Dune Gecko, which is another super cute, tiny little gecko. These guys are actually found in northern Africa in very sandy conditions. These guys love sand. Another name for them is actually the dwarf sand gecko. These little guys only get to about 3 inches long, and they're actually nocturnal, so they're gonna spend their days hiding. They need lots of hiding room in that tank. They like to hide under bark and hides, but under those hides, they're gonna actually dig into the sand more and just be real deep into that sand. These guys are another one, like most of the reptiles that are going to be on this list, that are pretty hard to find and were previously almost always wild caught. But again, like the last one, thanks to breeding projects, they are becoming more and more available slowly, but it's happening. They are becoming more and more available as captive bred animals. Josh's Frogs, I noticed, was one that actually does captive breed these animals. So if you happen upon one of these geckos that are available, it might be an option to pick it up, especially if you are looking for an animal that does not take up a lot of space. These guys are adorable. Ever wanted a monitor that's not as big as, well, a monitor? The Pygmy Mulga monitor. If you love monitors but don't necessarily love how huge they are, or you don't have room for how huge they are, these guys are an awesome choice because, as their name suggests, they stay pretty small. They're only going to get up to about 14 to 18 inches, which again, for a monitor, that's pretty small. That's about as long as an adult bearded dragon. These guys can be found in northwestern and central Australia, which convinces me even more that I need to visit Australia. These guys are an arboreal lizard, so they're going to be found climbing up trees or under loose bark on trees. That's where they like to hide. And they have prehensile tails, and that means, just like the prehensile-tailed skink, they are going to use those tails almost as a 5th limb to kind of help them balance or help them wrap around tree limbs to keep them from falling, which is awesome. I absolutely love when lizards have prehensile tails. I think it's the coolest thing because they're basically little monkey tails, and that's awesome. Just like other monitors, these guys are super active and they are very intelligent. However, they're going to be a little more difficult to find, and when you can find them, they're going to be pretty pricey. I noticed when I found these guys on Josh's Frogs, when they do have them, you're looking at about $800-900. I don't remember which one, but make sure that you are prepared to care for these guys if this is what you want. They don't need as much space as a huge monitor, obviously, but they have some very specific environmental requirements that make them a little bit more difficult to care for. The number one being that they require a hotspot of 150 degrees Fahrenheit. That is very hot. That is very difficult, and when you start looking at bigger tanks for them and height, because they are arboreal, that's going to be a little bit difficult to maintain. But if that's an animal that you really want, it is very much possible and very much doable. Next up is the Sunbeam Snake. This is one of my personal favorites, and a lot of people probably know that this exists already, but I never see them, so I thought I would add it to the list anyway. These guys are beautiful. They have this amazing rainbow iridescent sheen that goes over their entire body. Sometimes they're black, sometimes they're brown, but they are always gorgeous. I love these snakes so much. There are actually 2 different species of the Sunbeam Snake. Both of them, though, are from Asia. And even though they do have that crazy bright iridescent sheen, they are not venomous. They are actually from the constrictor family. The thing with Sunbeam Snakes, there's a couple different things, but the first thing, they are not a crazy hardy species. They have very specific environmental requirements that have to be maintained. They need a very high humidity at above 75% and cooler temperatures at about 80 degrees. So cooler temperatures and higher humidity can make mildew and mold growth. It can make stagnant, stale air, which kind of gets a little difficult if you've never had a reptile before to be able to maintain that and still maintain ventilation and all that. It can be a little bit difficult, so this is definitely an animal that you want to extensively look into before getting. The other thing with the Sunbeam Snake, they are almost never captive bred. Most of these guys are going to be wild caught, and wild caught Sunbeam Snakes do not tend to do the best in captivity. That is what makes these guys super unobtainable for me personally. Sad face. And the last one on this list is the Psychedelic rock gecko. This is the one that I mentioned that you will probably never have as a pet. So just coming right out of the gate, just letting you know that. Super sad. These guys are amazing. Look at this lizard. This guy is one of the rarest lizards in the entirety of the world, in the entirety of the planet Earth. This is one of the most rare lizards. There are thought to be only about 500 of these adult geckos in the wild currently, so they are super, super rare, super, super threatened, critically endangered. They actually live on one tiny, tiny little island off of the coast of Vietnam. I think the area of it is less than a square mile. It's super tiny. It's super rocky, like rocky, mountainous. A lot of it, I'm pretty sure, has been unexplored. Correct me down below if I'm wrong. A lot of this island has been unexplored. Based off of a study on these lizards, there are thought to be only about 500 adults of these on that island, which is crazy. Bright side though, those 500 do seem to be doing well. They're actively trying to reproduce, but the issue with them is habitat loss, illegal pet trade, people going in trying to take them to add into the pet trade, and invasive species. There is an invasive primate on that island that unfortunately has contributed to their numbers going down. Super beautiful lizard, and I sincerely hope that that lizard is able to be saved. It is able to not go extinct. It is the coolest little lizard, and it was only first described about 12 years ago in 2010. So new to us and critically endangered. Super sad. Hopefully that gets better, and hopefully these guys stick around because they're awesome. But that's it. That is all I have for this video. I kind of like making videos like this. I did the craziest reptiles, whatever, a little while back. It's just super cool to do videos about animals that I'm not really aware of, and I get to learn all this stuff, and I get to just research and learn about these crazy lizards that I never would have known. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Leave some rare animals down below because I'm interested into looking into other animals. I want to see adorable or just crazy looking animals. Let me know. As I said at the beginning of this video is sponsored by I Heart Geckos. I Heart Geckos is an awesome company that makes conversion kits for geckos or frogs or whatever animals you need conversion kits for. These allow you to turn any aquarium into a front opening tank, so you are reaching in at your animals, making them more comfortable and making it easier for you as well to reach in for that animal or to clean the tank or whatever. These kits are amazing. I absolutely love them, and that's why I continue to have them as a sponsor on these videos. If you haven't ordered one of these kits, make sure to leave Elle's Reptiles in the How Did You Hear About Us box. That way they know that you guys are coming from here. Thank you so much, Geckos, for continuing to sponsor these videos. You're awesome. As always, if you haven't already, please feel free to follow me on my other socials and like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications every single time I put out a new video, which is every Sunday and some Wednesdays. This week's Instagram shoutout is for Rock On Ancient Queen for following me on Instagram and going through and liking a whole bunch of my stuff. And this week's subscriber shoutout is here because I'm recording these videos in advance. Thank you guys both so much for watching and following and subscribing and liking and all of that jazz. You are the bee's knees. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye. We're going to look into some super rare reptiles and just dote over them. Dote? Is that a word? These guys are actually found in northern. These guys are. It's gonna be a very short video. Are on trees, climbing trees. They are on arboreal. They are in our. I can't talk, and the gnats. You're not making it any better. These guys are an arboreal. These guys are an arboreal animal, so they're going to be found. These guys are an arboreal lizard, so new to us, and also seemingly going away, and also seemingly, and so clutch my pearls. Are you singing this? This crazy lizard?